Hi, welcome along to DR Sports. We are here for the prediction battle. Actually, last sort of Premier League one of the season as we go into the last weekend of the season. Brought to you today by Who Knows Wins, the brilliant app where you can win up to £10,000. All you got to do is deposit £5, enter the pick 10, and you've got a chance to win it. There's a link in the description if you want to download it and get involved right now. And we do our picks. It's really easy. There's 10 games. You pick out whether you think it's going to be a win for a team or a draw. Get all 10 right or as many right as possible, and you get a share of that £10,000 pot. There was a guy last week who got all 10 right. I think he won nearly £7,000. Unbelievable. Just for depositing a fiver. So get yourself involved. I'm here for the prediction battle today. We've got Matisse, of course, mega Chelsea fan. He's still in a bit of pain since last week. The penalty shootout, man. Jesus, how many more penalty shootout are you guys going to have?
It's long.
But Matisse. And another guy's been in a bit of pain as well. He had to endure watching the Europa League final, which they should really have been in. Nicky from West Ham Fan TV, and a big West Ham fan. Of course, I've been suffering this week as well. I had to go all the way up to Newcastle and endure what I saw this week as well. So listen, we're all suffering together.
Suffering panel today.
But we can get rid of the suffering by winning ourselves £10,000. I mean, simple, yeah.
Sounds nice,
win
man.
£10,000, and it's good. You guys get involved at home as well. Send us in your comments as well. I see one super chat one coming already here from Todd Miller. He says you can take the Arsenal kit off Aaron Ramsey, but you can't take the Arsenal out of Aaron Ramsey. Arsenal 2-2, Spursy. Oh, he's saying that Norwich will beat Spurs, third place. No chance. But listen, we're going to explore some of those games in the pick 10. Both guys have selected their 10, right? And we're going to get into what you selected. I think we'll start with Liverpool, right? Because we've got on the line, we've got a big Liverpool fan who, of course, they won the FA Cup final. Look at him, he's smiling there. Doyle's in the building. Well, he's not in the building, but we're linking up with Doyle. Doyle, how you doing, mate?
I am very, very good, Robbie, mate, as you can imagine. Got 2 cups. Season hasn't even finished yet, mate. I am very happy. Sorry, Matisse, mate. Sorry, I didn't realise you were there. Sorry, mate. Yeah, I'm very happy, lad. We've got a double already, and even if the season ended now, I'll be very happy. So, feeling great, mate. Feeling wonderful.
Wonderful, and of course you've got that all-important win during the week against Southampton, which means that it goes down to the last day. Right now, this is the first one we're looking at in our picks, and that is Liverpool taking on Wolverhampton Wanderers at home. How are you feeling about that, Doyle?
I'm not the most confident. We've been conceding goals very early in games recently. You've seen it with the last game that we played in Southampton. But we seem to get over the line. And if you remember a few seasons ago when we went really close to winning the league, actually we were a point behind them. It was Wolves in the last fixture and we beat them. However, this season we struggled. We got a 1-0 victory away. I just feel like the boys can't be stopped at the moment, and I feel like we'll still win. Whether or not City lose, that's another question. But we can hope, can't we? Because Gerrard's at the wheel there, lads. He's ready to put a stick in the forks there, lads. So
yeah,
we don't know yet.
Listen, we done you a bit of a favour last week, Doyle, as well, and we showed you that City can be got at. Nice
one, lad. I appreciate that. I was a West Ham fan last week, lad. I promise you I was. I was made up. Bowen, mate. Bowen is fantastic, by the way. Just on a sad note, for me, yeah, he's up for the player of the season, by the way. And I love Mo Salah, and you know that. Everyone knows I love Mo Salah. But for me, he's definitely one of the players of the season. So thank you for that, Nicky, lads. We very much appreciate it.
I didn't have much to do with it, mate, but I'll take the thanks anyway.
If we win the quadruple, lad, I'll buy you a pint, Nicky, okay?
Yeah, definitely, yeah, 100%.
So what are you saying then, Doyle? So you're going for you think it'll be a win for Liverpool?
Yeah, I think we're gonna need the win, aren't we? We're gonna go hammer and tongue at it, mate. It's the last game of the season. We want to crown it well. I think we'll have a 2-0, 3-0 victory, to be honest with you, mate. Wolves have completely, their standard has dropped off the second half of the season. So I don't see them really putting up much of a fight. They've got Europe to fight for, not really. Can't really get it. So I don't see them putting up much of a fight against us, actually, especially at Anfield.
Okay, so Doyle's going for Liverpool. I noticed on your pick, you gone for Liverpool as well.
Yeah, absolutely. As Doyle
no
said,
slip ups.
I just can't see them sleeping up now. I can't honestly. They're a phenomenal side, and I just can't see them getting beat by Wolves.
Thank you very much, Nicky.
Yeah, Wolves are poor, to be honest.
Yeah, they're finishing the season poor, innit? They've been a bit disappointing towards the end of the season. After having, a lot of people was, bigging up Bruno Lage and saying he's done brilliantly, which he has in his first season, but they've really petered out towards the end of the season, Wolves, haven't they?
Yeah, it's been disappointing. I remember at one point they were like hovering around the top 4, and everybody was like, "What is going on here?" And you definitely thought they would have, stuck at it and got Europe. But like Doyle said, they've just petered out in the second half of the season. And Liverpool right now, they're a machine. I think they've definitely picked up some injuries, and they looked after a lot of those players in midweek, and they still won, still came from behind to win that game. So it just goes to show that physically, mentally, they may be coming towards the end of the season, but they're still fighting for this trophy. And if City drop points, you do not want to be Liverpool. If you drop points and you don't take advantage of that, that's a historic moment that you have an opportunity to make. So they're gonna win that game for me, and they're gonna win it probably convincingly. Yeah.
All right, and Doyle, if you win that, if you don't win that, next week the Champions League.
The big one, big ears, mate. Liverpool's trophy. I can't wait for this one. It's the one I'm actually excited for. With the Premier League, mate, City pretty much always have it every single year, and it gets me less and less excited towards the end of the season. But the Champions League, that's the special one, innit? We all know, sitting on this table right now, that's the special one, and I'm looking forward to it. Actually, I can't wait. I think it's not going to be an easy game. I'm not saying we're going to win it, but I'm still looking forward to it. Definitely.
Well, massive game with Doyle. Well, listen, we're going to allow you to go back to work, mate. But thank you very much for coming on, and good luck. Good luck on Sunday. You never know. You never know in this football.
Pray for us, lads. Pray for us. You want us to win, don't we? Come on.
Big up Doyle. That's Doyle there, and of course Doyle, massive Liverpool fan. And why wouldn't he feel happy, man? It's happy days for them. You know what I mean? They won the,
both domestic cups.
Yeah.
And then Champions League
got,
final.
Just off the league. You know what I mean? They're absolutely
They'll
fine,
feel a
aren't
little
they?
bit. I think they'll feel a little bit hard done by as well, Liverpool, because in the last 3 seasons, I think they've got 90 points, 90 plus points. Yeah. I see the league table from 2015-16, and Leicester won it on 77 points with a game to go. So, they are 2 phenomenal sides.
It's like they're around at the wrong time, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I will take issue with what he said about the European Cup there. It says Liverpool's Cup. They're playing Real Madrid. Real Madrid have won it probably twice.
Exactly. And that's the problem. So heritage is on the line.
Well, of course, it is the battle to see who's going to win the league, right? It's the most important battle this weekend. We've just spoken about Liverpool, but what about Manchester City? Manchester City, they are at home to Aston Villa. There's a lot of people, you heard Doyle there saying it, maybe Steven Gerrard might do them a favour. Maybe, Coutinho, the Liverpool old boys might step up and do a favour for them. It's going to be, it's in Manchester City's hands.
Yeah.
And if you're a Man City fan, that's what you want. You want it, the only people who don't want it in their hands is Arsenal, right? Because we have it in our hands and we just throw it away. But it's in Manchester City's hands. And we have another Man City fan on the line. So I think, do we have Will, or are we just trying to get Will up? Do we have Will? How you doing, Will? How's it going, bro? Aston Villa at home on Sunday. Win the game, and you are the champions of England.
Yeah, it sounds great, doesn't it? Going into that final day, I mean, it looked a bit dicey at half-time in the West Ham game, knowing that it's all in our hands, one win, and now secure our Premier League title, the 4th in 5 years. So, yeah, it's a good feeling getting into the game around the club.
Yeah, and if Mahrez would have scored that penalty.
Well, if Mahrez would have scored that penalty, would have wrapped it up. But I guess that's not the point of football. We all want to see it go down to the final day. We've got every battle across the table going down to the final day. So I think it'll be a great occasion. The Etihad will be buzzing that day. It'll be absolutely bouncing, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Nicky, you said, Nicky's here in the studio. Nicky said that City can be got at. You just said,
yeah. Listen, I'm sure Will's looks like an honest guy. I think he'll back me up on this one. Like, defensively, they play a very high line, and Antonio was getting a lot of joy, especially running up against the old fellow. What's his name? Fernandinho. Yeah.
His last game, Fernandinho's last game.
But they can be got at. They play a very high line. But I can't see anything but a Man City victory. I think it's in their hands. I know, the stars look to be aligning for Liverpool, Gerrard and Coutinho and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, but I watched them last night, man. And
they are pretty poor team, to be quite honest with you.
And not only that, the fact that they played last night as well, and they played Burnley. It was a pretty difficult game. Now you've got to go Sundays away to the Etihad.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it's football.
It's just a sheer talent Man City have got.
Yeah.
I just can't see Villa getting anything from this game, unfortunately. But, I think it's Man City's title.
Same. And if it was going to be Liverpool's title, I think it would have been against West Ham there. That 2-0 lead that they had, that was a real test of mental fortitude for City. Will they crack under the pressure? Will they start rushing their passes? But they didn't. They were just composed, came out in the second half, started playing their stuff, creating opportunities, and just bided their time. And to do that against West Ham at Olympic Park, when West Ham need to win to put Europa League in their own hands, and we've seen how good West Ham are this season, if they can do that against West Ham, I think against Villa, who are probably a bit tired after, obviously, like I said, playing midweek, I think City will handle their business and win the league, to be honest.
How are you feeling about it, Will?
Well, you look at it kind of reminds me of 2019 when it went down to the final day and we had Brighton away and Liverpool had Wolves then, I think. And obviously we're going to expect Liverpool to win their game. That's standard procedure at this point. So City have got to go in there. We have defensive problems, there's no doubt about that, with Walker and Stones and Diaz and Laporte all kind of struggling. It'll be tricky. Cancelo should put in a shift. Fernandinho, as you said, it's his last game, so I think we saw against West Ham, look, you can score 2 goals against us, but ultimately we can then go and score 2 more, get a penalty to maybe score 3. I think we just have to know that it is in our hands. There shouldn't be any lapses of concentration. It's the final day, we've got nothing left to play for after that Real Madrid game, so I'm feeling fairly confident. I wouldn't be surprised if Villa scored, maybe to make it nervy, just like Brighton did in 2019, they scored first. But yeah, I can see it ending like a 3-1 to City.
3-1, and De Bruyne, who's been superb for you this season. For you, does he get Player of the Season for you this year?
I think it'd be a bit tricky to give Player of the Season to De Bruyne. I mean, Salah's had an unbelievable start to the season. Heung-min Son has been consistent throughout, and De Bruyne has had a fantastic end. I think any of those 3 players would totally deserve Player of the Season. But De Bruyne is, in my belief, the best player in the Premier League. And he's shown it. He always comes up in his tail end of the season for his Ballon d'Or and Player of the Season push every year. But for me, I think Mohamed Salah has been on a different level at some points this season, so I'd probably give it to him reluctantly.
And if you win the league, and this sounds like a really ridiculous question, right? To anybody else, any other fan, this would be an absolutely ridiculous question to ask. But you're a Man City fan, so it's not, right? Would you still be a little bit disappointed that you only just won that?
I did an interview on this channel a few weeks ago, which I got a lot of stick for at the time, where I said I prefer the Premier League to the Champions League.
Oh yeah, I remember you did, yeah.
And I came under a little bit of stick for that. So I think you know my opinion, but look, the Real Madrid game was a massive disappointment. To be basically 2 minutes away from a Champions League final and not get there would be a disappointment. But this season, I didn't really expect much this season. We came in, we were struggling to get a striker. It was looking like it was going to be one of those years where maybe it was a bit of a transition period. And to come out of it with a Premier League title is huge. It's a Premier League title. It's the biggest trophy in English football at the moment. I think it's a fantastic achievement. And obviously, I think we are the best team in the league, so we should be expecting to win that. But still, it's winning the league is a special feeling. It's something that every City fan will remember forever because you don't come back too often.
All right, well, unless you're a City fan. They do come often. Well, listen, Will, thank you very much, mate. Appreciate you coming on. And listen, best of luck on Sunday. And, I guess you'll have the champagne ready.
Of course, champagne will be ready. And, cheers for having me on, guys.
Cheers, Will. Thank you very much. That would be a ridiculous question to ask anybody else, wouldn't it? You get what I mean, though?
I get you.
They won the Champions League.
Yeah,
they won it.
They won it.
So
but it will
bad.
come. It will probably come at some point.
But you say that. Look at the team that they've got. They've failed consistently in that competition for the last 6-7 years now. Like where they've got to them stages.
I'm a bit like Arsenal, right? When we were had our amazing team. But we just couldn't crack that.
They just can't seem to get over the line. And what's to say that this team doesn't fade? I know they've got billions of pounds to put in, but this team could fade away without cracking that.
Yeah.
It's quite easily. Like De Bruyne's 30 now.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I'm glad to hear that he's not bored of winning the Premier League though, because I think when you're in that rumble of winning it and you're in that consistency of being the challenger, you can sometimes take that for granted. And then, you know, my team, we haven't won it in 5 years. Man United, you know, they haven't won it in 10. That can happen. Liverpool, you know,
We won it for about, I think it's over 18 years. I nearly fell over the other day,
We've
man.
never won it. Not even when it was from the
Division
the
1
Civil War days. We never, we couldn't even win it.
Well, both of you in your picks have gone for Manchester City. No surprise there. And as we said, Villa, man, they've got good players, but they're pretty poor. I can't see them in any way. If football is football, but I can't see it. Shref here with a super chat. He says, Rob, you believe Spurs lose to Norwich and Arsenal beat Everton and we get top 4? It's still possible, but I feel it's best we don't play the Champions League because we're not ready. He's big Arsenal fan, Shref. I can't say. Listen, we'll get to that. We'll get to that later on. We got to talk about another game. So, actually, let's get to that now because Arsenal are going to be playing Everton.
Yeah.
On Sunday, right?
Yep.
Now, this game, which could have been a really, really exciting game because it could have been going down to the wire where Arsenal have to win to get top 4 and Everton need to win to stay in the league. As it's turned out now, it's no longer in Arsenal's hand. They still have to win the game. But Everton no longer need to win this game.
Yeah.
I mean, Everton can relax now because they had that absolutely amazing comeback. Listen, we've got to credit Everton. We've got to credit Lampard, who's been getting stick. 2-0 down against Crystal Palace. And you're thinking to yourself, they're done, man. They're finished. That's the last game of the season. They've got to come to the Emirates, right, where they haven't got the greatest of records over the years. They could be, a huge club like Everton could be gone. But then in the second half, they pulled it out of the bag. 2 of those goals, by the way, brilliant, right? They pulled it out of the bag, and Everton have confirmed last night that they are staying in the league. We're going to get to your guys' predictions for that game. But before that, we got to speak to Mike, right? I don't know how you feel today, right? I don't know. I mean, what was your emotions like? You know what? I'll ask you this, Mike, yeah? When you were 2-0 down at half-time, what was you thinking? I want you to be real now.
Mate, good to see you, gents. Yeah, man, I was broke. I was sitting in my seat, head in my hands. I was done. The club was finished. Like, you just think the worst, you know, and you're putting... Then 15 minutes in between the first half and the second half, you're sitting there and you're thinking, this club spent £376 million in the Reds. We go into the Championship, the new stadium, everything, it's oblivion for Everton. Honestly, mate, there was people in the stand crying. It was horrible. It was horrible. I've never felt pain like it. Horrendous.
And then 45 minutes later, this football, I tell you, this is why we love this game, man. 45 minutes later, how are you feeling then?
Oh, I'm running on the pitch, we're all celebrating, we're having a party. Like, literally, it went off. Goodison went off, it was a party. The fans were on the pitch. There was about 20, I don't know if you've seen the pictures, there was about 20,000 Everton fans on that pitch, and we were all celebrating together. And I know a lot of clubs will say, oh, it's embarrassing, or, you know, you've only just stayed, in the Premier League. Why are you running on the pitch to celebrate like you've won the Champions League, etc., etc.? But it meant everything to Everton, because if we'd have gone down, we were finished. You know, this whole Mishiri plan, all of this money, the new stadium, we were done out here. And we come in, we managed to score 3 good goals. The fans reacted, and we just lost our heads. It was an absolute party on that pitch last night for at least an hour after the game. It was amazing.
It must have been a few tears, mate.
Oh, mate, I was in tears. Me and my co-host, John, we were on the pitch. We were crying. We've got a picture of us in tears, everything, broken.
But it just shows you what happens in football can be like that. It literally changed. 45 minutes, you get the first goal, you think, well, please, Everton, just get that second and go to Arsenal needing a point, because we've played well against the better teams this season, you know, the Chelsea, the Man United. We've played better, so go there needing a point and grind out a horrible 0-0. And when we scored the third goal, I was gone. My head was gone. The shirt was gone, everything. It was outrageous.
I think that game, Mike, I think it showed Everton in one. It was everything of your season in one. Brilliant at one point, you know, small portions of the game, absolutely excellent, but shambolic at times. Now, what you need to do is you need to stay. You know, I'm sure Lampard will have a plan, but you need to sit down in the summer and make sure this doesn't happen again, because Everton are too big a club to be getting into them positions.
Do you know, you're spot on, and because I have this worry now. So if you remember, say 5 or 6 years ago, Aston Villa stayed up on the last game of the season, but they went down the season after with an appalling points total, like 17 points or something. Everton can't be in that position next season, because all of that jubilation, all of that money, all of the things I just mentioned, it literally just carries on to next season. And this team, although I suspect investment will be difficult because of financial fair play, I suspect some of our players will move on. Some of the bigger earners will be leaving. There will be a little bit of room to wiggle around. And look, a successful season for Everton next season is 13th, 12th, 13th. Just progression. Just move us away from the bottom 6 clubs. Because, as you say, look, no team has a God-given right to be anywhere in the league. No team does. But on the face of it, what our fans produced, we showed that we believe we are a big club still, and I know we're not. I know we've fallen away from the top 6, and I know, you know, in terms of financials, you know, other teams have overtaken us. Leicester, Newcastle, West Ham, great sides in their own right, and Everton have fallen away from that. We've got to find a way of getting back into that top 10, and I think that's a season or 2 away, and it has to be like that. Don't just go and spend loads of money in the summer. Do it slowly, do it progressively. Back Lampard, because he seems to have got the fans and the players more together than I've experienced since Farhad Moshiri bought our club. It's just I'm not going to say it's an amazing feeling around Everton at the minute, because it's not. But what it is a feeling that we can at least go forward, and this is the worst it was ever going to get. Touch wood.
You could understand the jubilation, because they could have been Nottingham Forest. They could have been Leeds. Like, you know, 45 minutes away from championship football. And these clubs that are not prepared for championship, they're the ones that will suffer the most. The ones without relegation clauses in their contracts. The ones with big names, you know, in the squad. You look at some of the other clubs that are going to go down, your Norwiches. They're built for this. They're doing the yo-yo. You know, they're ready to go to the championship, hopefully, and then come back up, whereas Everton weren't ready for that, and they never planned for that, because they've never been in that position before. So you can understand the jubilation, because when you go down to the championship, you don't know when you're coming back. It's such a difficult
I don't
league.
like the football police that tell you when you can and can't celebrate. You know, that's a big achievement for Everton. Like, it's relief more than anything, because I've been where
celebrate that.
Of course, I've been where Mike is. 2-0 down, 3-2 up, you stand in the league next year. You know, that's as big for Everton as it is winning the FA Cup for Liverpool, because you know, that's where you need to be. If you want to be the best, you need to be here.
Yeah.
And as you say, new stadium, uncertainty. It's to be celebrated. People can't tell you when you can and can't cheer.
Yeah, and I thought the scenes were, apart from, you know, obviously we saw the stuff with Patrick Vieira, which is that was a bit unfortunate. But I think the majority of the fans that were on the pitch there, like, it was just like the emotions just spilled out. And it is like, that is for Everton, you know, it is like they've just won the league. Remember how much pressure they've been under the past, you know, 6-7 weeks. You know, as an Everton fan, it must have been unbearable. And what I really rate about the Everton fans, though, is they've played their part. I mean, the flares before the
Fireworks.
team turns up and all that sort of stuff. I thought it's been absolutely brilliant. And I think the fans, apart from those couple idiots that approached Vieira, but I think the fans really deserve a lot of credit, because I think they've played their part in Everton staying up. I really do. I mean, once that second goal went in last night, It was almost like they sucked that in. They sucked in that third. Calvert-Lewin, you think you'll keep hold of him?
No, I think he'll go. I suspect, and I've said this before, I think I said this to you, Matisse, I think it'll be Newcastle, the sort of team that Calvert-Lewin will go. I don't think he's had the season to fit into a top 6 side, but on his day he is good enough to play in a progressive side, and I think Newcastle will be that side. And can I just mention one thing on the fans, Robbie, just before? They, as a club, about 10 weeks ago, I said if Everton are going to stay in this league, it won't be the players, it won't be the board, it probably wouldn't even be the manager, it would be the fans. And as a group of fans over the last few weeks, we really have united. Whereas before there's been infighting, there's been people on Twitter digging other fans out, and at the ground we've heard fighting. Last night and over the last 6 weeks, we've literally embraced each other as family, and we got our team over the line last night. To the silly individuals, both at Brentford and last night with Vieira, it's a disgrace. And I like to think that action will be taken very quickly on them, because there's no room for racism. Just sheer bantering managers when they've just lost. It's just petty. So I hope action's taken against them fans.
Yeah, listen, thank you very much, mate. And I'm glad. Listen, obviously on Sunday now you don't need to win that game. So you just send down a load of kids
relax.
or whatever. Just chill, because we still do need to win it. But I'm really happy for you, mate. Trust me, I'm really, really pleased for you. And congratulations, you are staying up.
Yeah, thank you guys, really appreciate it. It just means I get to come on your show more often next season, so what the fucking tough is.
Well, we were planning a championship show, but you're good.
Yeah, of all the managers that you don't want to pick on, I don't think Patrick Vieira would be top of
No,
I know.
I said that before we started filming. Like, this guy's gone to war with Roy Keane. I don't think he's gonna be phased.
Listen, thank you very much, mate. Cheers.
See you later, guys.
Game don't matter to them now, but it's still an important game. Arsenal versus Everton. Now, petition to bring back Mustafi. That's the name of this guy's handle. He says, really need Spurs to bottle it. I've gloated too much on Arsenal being able to get third online. My history is tainted with this L. And he says, Lasagna Gate version 2. For anybody who remembers Lasagna Gate.
I remember.
You remember that
well.
when Tottenham threw away the league because a load of their players got sick
I was the
by
chef
eating
then.
a dodgy... You was the chef. By eating a dodgy lasagna. Of course, there is that game, Arsenal versus Everton. Very important game for Arsenal, even though I don't think it's going to matter. But... Arsenal need to win it. It's the last home game of the season for Arsenal as well. Bitterly disappointing as far as I'm concerned that it's not in our hands anymore. But it's not in our hands anymore. In your picks, and by the way, guys, don't forget the pick 10 on who knows wins. Chance to win 10 grand with these 10 picks. This is another one of them. Arsenal versus Everton. Matisse, you've gone for Arsenal.
Yeah, I think... Listen, Arsenal will do what they have to do. I don't think it will be enough. I think that Newcastle game was pivotal. Tottenham away, we know the record, but Newcastle, as great as they've been, you know what you need going into that game, and they were really poor. Dominated.
Terrible. Oh,
from start to finish.
Start to finish.
Incredible. Joe Linton, St. Maximum had Tomiyasu on skates. You had, Gamirez, even Wilson was really good. Tooth or no tooth, So Arsenal right now, they're in a position where they have to win the game just to stand a chance. But I mean, we'll get into Tottenham in a minute. But when you're asking your nearest and dearest rivals to lose against Norwich, not draw, but lose, they have to lose.
And it's Norwich as well. It's not.
Come on, it's too much. And I know it's all Spursy and bottlers, but there's Conte in town now. It's a different vibe. I just think with Arsenal, I said concentrate, focus on fourth, and they all started talking about third as the chat said. Oh, we're coming for third. I said, guys, just focus. I never said that. Just focus.
I was always saying third. Listen, man, let's get fourth first. But we have thrown it away. We really have thrown it away. Nicky, what do you think with that game? You've also gone for an Arsenal win.
I have gone for an Arsenal win. I said, I'll be honest, I picked these before last night's game because I thought whatever way it would have gone, I think... I've seen Everton to know that they're poor.
On the road, they're shocking.
On the road, they're really
at
bad.
Home, good team.
Yeah.
Stronger at home, but on the road.
And I know that they beat you earlier on in the season, but I just couldn't see Arsenal slipping this one. You know, I just think Arsenal got enough to go. I don't think
It's
it'll be
a very
easy.
drained Arsenal team at the moment. I mean, that was the thing that really shocked me the other night, is that how, you know, there's so many players that are playing and they shouldn't be playing.
They're running on fumes, mate.
Tommy Asu shouldn't be playing. He's injured.
Yeah, they're
nor
running
should
on
Ben
fumes.
White, nor should Gabriel.
Yeah.
None of them trained. They all. I mean, it's like basically a half-baked team. We've got Nick, who's another Nick here, who's an Arsenal fan. How you doing, Nick?
I'm good, boys. How you doing?
Good. This game on Sunday, I mean, we got to win it. But any chance whatsoever that, you know, it's going to mean anything?
Like they say, it's the hope that kills you. Do you know what I mean? I really, for me, I spoke to my boys about it. In my head, we're fifth. You know, it's like buying a lottery ticket. You know, I'm not going to sit there and bank on the winnings. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to get up and go to work like normal. But if I wake up in the morning and we've hit fourth, then great. Do you know what I mean? But I can't sit there and really bank on it. Do you know what I mean? So in my mind, it's fifth. And that's what it is. It's progress. It's like small progress back to kind of the Emery days, and then we have to kick on from there to get back to fourth. That's how I feel about it.
What's gone wrong? Because let's be real right now, as a fellow Arsenal fan, right? When that international break, the last international break, when we came back after that, we were not only did we have it in our hands, we were in the driving seat. And then we went and lost 3 games in a row to Crystal Palace, Brighton and Southampton. Then we recover, we go and beat Chelsea, we go and beat West Ham. It's in our hands again. And then we've just, you know, the Tottenham game, the Newcastle game, the striking thing about it has been that in those games, there's a real lack of fight to me. Is it that this team's just completely worn out?
The team does look tired. I don't want to use that as an excuse because there are no excuses in football, but we have to take, there's a lot of things that happen this season. We have to take into context that Mikel Arteta would have planned this whole season with Aubameyang being, you know, a captain and a top goal scorer and a marquee player. That obviously went sideways. Youngest squad in the league. We have a really, really thin squad, and we gambled. It's as simple as this. We gambled, and the gamble didn't pay off. We gambled to go into it with a thin squad, hoping that we could clutch top 4 and not worry about cups and just focus on the league. And we've just fallen short. And it's so difficult because I don't know where I place this team in the league. I don't know. Are they the 5th best team in the league? Are they higher than that? Are they lower than that? If we were to sell this whole squad, how many of those players go to teams above us in the league? Smith Rowe, Martinelli, Odegaard, Saka, that kind of young, exciting contingent. Outside of that, I don't really know how many of them go to teams that are above us necessarily. It's a really, really difficult one. I don't know if we just got gassed after that 10-game winning spree and we thought, we thought that they were better than they are after an exciting run. It's so difficult to calculate. I think on balance, we might have to accept that right now we're the 5th best team in the league, and that's where we are. I don't know how many of these players would go to teams above us if we were to sell the whole team tomorrow.
Nick, sorry, I just wanted to say something really, because we're in a similar position. I'm a West Ham fan, by the way. We're in a similar position in terms of squad-wise. And me and Robbie have spoken about this off camera, about not signing the right players or not reinforcing the players you've got. Now, if I was an Arsenal fan, I would be more aggrieved because you have had no distractions. You look at our squad. We've got to the European Cup semi-final. We've had good runs in the cups. You've gone out both cups relatively early, am I right in saying that?
Yeah.
And you've had
in the League Cup we went quite far down.
Semi-final, isn't it?
Yeah, to the semi-final. But in the FA Cup, when you talk about 2022, we went out of it in the 3rd round straight away.
So since January, you've had no distractions. Is that good enough from Arsenal? Is it good enough from Arteta?
No, and that's what makes it so difficult to judge where this team is the real inconsistency. You know, like I say all the time, everyone says it's the hope that kills you, and you don't know how they're going to turn up and play. When they turn up and play the style that you want them to play, or that Mikel seems to want them to play, they play really, really well. We've seen games, 3 against Tottenham, I know that was against Nuno, 3 against United, 4 against Chelsea, and then, that disaster game with the late goal against Everton, heartbreaker, 4 result against Brighton, wiped off the park against Crystal Palace. It's so difficult. If we can just get some consistency in this team, because I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, the drop between the quality of our starting 11 and then the quality of our bench is massive. It's a huge gap between the two, and you can really, really see when any of those players in the starting 11 are not there, you see a massive difference in the whole team. And it shouldn't be that way. You know, it should be, okay, there's a bit of a slight drop. If you look at Liverpool, if Firmino or Jota...
Sorry a second, Nick. We're just going to pause. We're just going to pause you a sec because we've got a slight audio problem. So we're going to hold that thought. We're going to come back to you in 1 sec, yeah? Sorry about that. We're back with you, Nick. We had a slight audio issue there. So you were saying?
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Cool. So, yeah, I was saying that the gap between our starting 11 and our bench is huge. If you look at some of the other teams, certainly the teams that are above us, of course, they've got their preferred 11. But what you want is if they have to make a couple of subs in the game, it's not going to affect them too much. You look at Jota and Firmino that can switch out. You look at Mane and Luis Diaz that can switch out. You know, even in City, a lot of different players play that false 9 role, centre mid. Gundogan can slip in if Kevin De Bruyne is not there. We don't have that. If we don't have Partey, we drop down to El Neni. That's a big drop. If we don't have Saka, we drop down to Pepe. That's a big drop. You know, it's a real struggle. Left back. If we don't have Tierney, we drop down to Tavares. There's a huge gulf between our starting 11 and our bench, and that's where we really need to bolster the squad. Obviously, a lot of that is gambles because a lot of those players are new, and like I say, it's a gamble that just hasn't quite paid off. So I understand what you're saying. You know, since January, the wheels have come off a little bit, but it is that squad that we need to bolster. You know, that's really what it comes down to for me.
All right. Well, listen. On Sunday, you think we'll get the job done?
I think we have to. I think this is going to be a test of the mentality of the team. You know, how can you know, the last couple of games we've lacked real fight, and this is the last chance to really show some fight on the pitch, you know, to show what the club means to them. They've been talking about it all season, and, you know, the kind of PR machine around the club has been good this season so far, around Mikel and around the young players and all that kind of stuff. And we really need to see a mentality from them now. You know, when the 11th hour, when the job looks like it's already finished, it looks like it's a mountain to climb. You know, can we just go and play for pride, go and play for yourself? You know, go and give the fans a performance. We know they've let the fans down a little bit, but, you know, can they show us something? So it's going to say a lot about our mentality of this team. I think we just have to go for it. We have to throw everything at it. We've got a long old holiday afterwards. We've got to win it.
All right. Well, listen, thank you very much, Nick. Appreciate you coming on. And, yeah, listen, let's hope we get the job done on Sunday. Just before I go to you, Anthony Gaming says, Robbie, what do you think of Erling Haaland at Man City? Bloody hell, that means he's going to win the title again next season as well, don't it? Yeah. But on Arsenal, you know, he said Nick there, what he said. Did we gas the team up too much?
I think,
or is it what he's saying there, where it's just like, you know, the first team's good, bit like West Ham, innit? The first team's good, but the rest, the backup, when that comes in.
I think he's spot on. You know, I rate a lot of your young players. There's a lot of potential in that team, but I think you missed a trick in January. You know,
big time.
The only team in January that's strengthened out of Arsenal, West Ham and Tottenham is Tottenham. And it's Kulusevski, it's Bentancur. And you take a look at the January window, Diaz, Bruno Guimaraes, Kulusevski. There was opportunities in the market to strengthen.
And they've all made an impact.
And they've all made ridiculous impacts. You know, you talk about Trippier before he was out injured for Newcastle, another player that was doing very well. Dan Burn. There's no excuse for Arsenal for the lack of recruitment. I was really impressed with the cleansing, getting rid of Aubameyang, who may not be completely on side. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who really wanted to leave and, you know, really was making that very clear. The cleansing and the clearing out was all good from Arsenal, but the lack of incomings was where you fell short, because now when you're looking at depth and you're looking at experience, this team is very imbalanced. The manager's inexperienced. He's never been in this situation before. The attackers are inexperienced. The defenders are inexperienced. The only experience is Xhaka and El Neni and maybe one or two others like Cedric. There's a lack of leadership. There's a lack of balance in the team. So I just feel like Arsenal missed a trick there, because if they had made a few signings signings in January, they would have got that money back in tenfold for being
difference
the Champions
between-
League.
Me and Nicky have been talking about this since January.
Yeah, since January. But the difference between the three clubs there, right? Because Tottenham would have done exactly the same thing if it hadn't been for Conte. Conte made it quite clear: if you don't get what I need, I'm going. I'm leaving. You know, and you know they went out and they didn't gamble. I wouldn't call it a gamble. They needed them players, and they've been really the difference for Tottenham.
Okay, well, listen, you've both gone for an Arsenal win, and I think Arsenal will win it as well. So, and then they're relying on Tottenham to slip up against Norwich. But you've gone for a Tottenham win, Nicky, and so have you, Matisse, and so have I. Well, no, I've gone for a Norwich win, but that's more
You're
through.
a dreamer, Robbie.
That's more through prayers, right? Because there's no chance they're going to.
that's hard
I was
over
going
there.
through Norwich's even home record.
Yep.
It's shocking.
I mean, they're
they
bottom
lost
for a reason.
Yeah,
Both
they
records are
lost their
awful.
last home game 4-0 against, I think it was Villa. I mean, they're shocking.
it was us.
You know, so, but listen, make sure you do your picks. As I said, download the app right now. Who knows wins? 10 to pick from, right? And that is, 2 of those are in the picks. Arsenal versus Everton, Norwich versus Tottenham. Deposit £5. Chance to win £10,000 and go. Also, you can go head to head with these guys. I'm on it as well. So just it's a lot of fun as well. There's another pick on there: Brentford versus Leeds. Right. Well, there's also Burnley versus Newcastle on it. Now these games are huge. It's going to decide who's going to go down. We know that Everton are safe, right? We spoke to Mike; they're safe. They didn't even need to worry about the last game. But if you're a Burnley fan or you're a Leeds fan, there's going to be a lot of anxiety around this game. As I said, Burnley at home to Newcastle. We saw how good Newcastle were against Arsenal. They're a good side. Very aggressive, but they just played on Thursday. But on Wednesday, Burnley just played on Thursday. So, and then there's Leeds. Got to go away to Brentford. Now, at the start of the season, a Leeds fan might have looked on it and thought, well, if we need anything, got to go away to Brentford. They'll probably be relegated by then or something like that. But this Brentford at the moment is a very good Brentford with Christian Eriksen and Ivan Toney and, lots of good players. Let's get James, who's a Leeds fan, on the line. I have to say, you're not looking as happy as what Mike, the Everton fan, was looking when he came on. I mean, how are you? You must be feeling terrible at the moment. This game looming. Oh, sorry, we can't hear him at the moment. Sorry, we can't hear you at the moment.
He's that shocked he can't speak.
Maybe this mic.
He's got 2 mics.
Whoa.
All right, let's see if we can get you. We'll try and get you back in a second, James. Yeah, if you was, you
the
sort
hell?
your mic. Oh, yeah, we got you.
There we are.
Yeah, we got
Oh,
you.
you got me now?
Yeah, we got you now. We got you now.
Hi. Yeah, well, no, I'm not, to be honest. I didn't get a lot of sleep. I woke up about 5 times in the night, and I've been about as bipolar as a prepubescent teen right now. It's not been good, to be honest. I wake up one day, I'm feeling positive. I wake up the next day, I think we're down. And I'm hearing Michael Happy over there. I'm not going to lie to you. It killed me to listen to him speak there. The amount of pain it's causing me right now. And I hear you speaking about Brentford, about, they're probably feeling confident about it. That's the worst team we could be coming up against, because Leeds fans, Leeds and Brentford, they're our bogey team, our Brentford. And Leeds fans at the beginning of the year, I was speaking to them, they were all saying, God, I hope it doesn't come down to that last day of the season against Brentford, because Brentford always cause us problems. And, I mean, you've got Ivan Toney posting videos of Leeds players celebrating and mugging off Thomas Frank. I'm scared.
Ooh, so they're going to be up for it as well then?
Are they going to be up? They're going to be well up for it. They would love nothing more than to relegate us. I mean, it's typical. Our last 2 games are Brighton and Brentford, 2 teams that can't stand us. And, oh, man, I don't know. I don't know what Leeds is going to turn up, to be honest. I mean, you got some performances like the first half against City. It looks good. They're filling me with a little bit of confidence. And then you turn up against Arsenal the next week and you show about as much fight as Deji. It's ridiculous, some of the stuff we've seen.
is poor. It's poor. I mean, you saw that game. We offered nothing. We have no identity now. I don't know what I'm looking at when I look at Leeds, to be honest. You know, before you'd say, oh, we're open, we're too open, we expose ourselves too much under Bielsa or whatever. We had some sort of identity. You know what to expect with us. Now we can't attack or defend. Yeah, against Brighton, we could have been 5-0 down in the first half if Danny Welbeck knew how to finish, which I know you've probably had quite a lot of experience with. It could have been bad for us. It could have been bad.
Yeah, and the thing is, right, Brentford, they do know how to finish.
Yeah.
They got some good players, and they got Christian Eriksen. I mean, the way he was just stroking the ball around last week at Everton.
Yeah.
I mean, he's looking $1 million at the moment. It's going to be a tough game for them, isn't it, Matisse?
He's a class above. He's a class above the rest. I think even, you know, there's a lot of bigger teams that are looking at it and thinking, oh, we could do with an Eriksen. You know, look at the way he's playing. And I think
I'd bite your hand off for it.
Yeah, honestly, because even if you use him as a super sub, he just comes in and just immediately gets you playing better football and starts to help you create chances. He's one of those few number 10s that are very rare in football. I think for Leeds, two things this season. They've struggled with the injuries like Bamford. They've really missed, you know, players like him. But I think they just didn't almost realise the situation they were in under Bielsa until it was too late and he was actually sacked.
Crept up on them, innit?
It's really crept up on them. Like, they've been playing like they are in mid-table, but they're in a relegation scrap. They're not defending. They're not honouring the art of defending. They're not trying to be difficult to beat. They're just open sesame. And some of the disciplinary issues as well, like the Arsenal game, the needless red card near the corner flag, the Chelsea game, the needless tackle in the middle of the field. These issues are what is potentially costing them, because we're not a very good team right now. They could have easily taken points against us, but these red cards, when you go down to 10 men, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So I think there's a lot of issues that Leeds, if they were to go down and to come back up, they do need to be, I think, a little bit more. Obviously, we love the football they played under Bielsa the first year, but this year, when you know you're in trouble and you're starting to get closer to that relegation zone, you need to adapt accordingly and kind of change it a little bit.
And that's the problem. That has been the problem with Leeds. They haven't adapted, even under Bielsa. They was free falling under him, just because they've got, you know, I know he said they've got an identity, but when your identity is attack, once that Premier League is a different animal than the Championship, because you get worked out.
The fans loved. I mean,
they loved
I was chatting to a Leeds fan. I was chatting to a Leeds fan last night, right? Who said they should have kept Bielsa. He would have rather Bielsa than, you know, he goes, Robbie, he goes, hard-nosed Yorkshireman, he goes, and this is no disrespect to Americans, but he goes, don't want an American at this time. It's the wrong fit.
I think Bielsa was
getting and I don't know how do you feel about it, James? I mean, I'm
listening to what you guys say, and I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with you that it was not Bielsa that put us in this position. There's one culpable target for Leeds fans' anger, and that's the board. All right, what's Bielsa meant to do when you're missing the whole spine of your team? You're missing Cooper, you're missing Bamford, you're missing Calvin Phillips for the entire season. You still haven't replaced Pablo Hernandez from last year. We have no creativity in there. We get half our squad injured the entire year. You go into a January transfer window, you don't even sign anyone. Yeah, the only players we've splashed the cash on is Junior Firpo and Dan James. How is that good enough for your second season in the Premier League? And people want to throw blame at Bielsa's door because of the way that he played. But those players only know one way how to play.
I think that's the problem. I think when you do know only one way to play, that's the problem. Is because that is, with all due respect, that is the Premier League. Once you get them players injured, we've all lost the spines of our teams at some point. I think Chelsea have, Arsenal have, West Ham have. You adapt.
Yeah.
And forgive me, I know I'm quite ignorant, but who was in charge in January? Was it Bielsa still?
Yeah, Bielsa still.
So he should have identified them problems. It's his problem that he's went and signed Dan James. Is Dan James the player you really needed? That would have been Bielsa's decision.
Dan James is not the player he needed, but a lot of people are trying to blame it on Bielsa that he wanted a small squad, this and that. But the truth of the matter is the board didn't give him the funds. Our squad is not a great Premier League quality squad. Let's be honest here. We made a few signings in the summer when we came up, but that's mostly Championship players that he's turned water. We've gone from turning players from water into wine now turning them from caviar to cake. All right, that's how badly we've fallen. You've got players like Phillips, who was a nobody before Bielsa came in, and now he's England Player of the Year. And there's losing your spine, and then there's having about 9 injuries every single week. But I think people just don't know what we were before Bielsa came in and what we are now. And yes, he's made mistakes. Everyone's made mistakes, of course. Of course, we know he's had problems with his picking his squad, being too stubborn with playing Dan James up front and etc. But what we can agree with is if you were going to change him, which again is against my decision, I don't think it's the fact that necessarily you've brought American in, but you're bringing someone in who's trying to put a completely different style on a bunch of players that only know how to play one way, and you're giving him 12 games left in the season. And you're expecting him to try and change the system around, and it's not working.
Yeah. Well, listen, James, the simple question is this, and to stay up, you've got to. Well, Burnley only have to match whatever you do. So if you lose, they stay up. If you draw, they stay up. If you win, and they lose or draw, and they're at home against Newcastle, which is not an easy game for them, you will stay up. Do you think you're going to stay up?
My heart, I think yes, yeah, and I'll tell you why. I think no, but then I also think yes. There's certain things I perceive to be bigger in football, like when Danny Welbeck misses that chance right at the end there, 88th minute against Leeds. I'm sat there and I'm thinking, is that the moment that keeps Leeds in the Premier League? That thing there. Then we go and score a 92nd minute equaliser. The only team in the league that scored more 90-minute goals than us is Man City. And I think, surely, is it just in our fate to survive? But if you ask me in a few hours, I'll probably tell you a different answer. So I'm going to go yes.
I think.
All right. Well, listen. Good luck on Sunday. I really mean it. I mean, I'd love to see Leeds stay in the division. I was up there at Ellen Road this season. The atmosphere was cracking. That's a proper Premier League football club. So personally, I'd love you to stay up, but it ain't down to me, unfortunately. But let's see how it pans out on Sunday. And thanks very much for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me, boys. It's been fun.
Appreciate that. And yeah, both of you guys, you've gone for Leeds, Nicky.
I have
to win.
Yep, I have.
And you've gone for a draw.
Yeah, I think my biggest gripe with Leeds this season is that goal difference. Second worst defence in the league. And when I made my point on Bielsa, the stubbornness, it's when you're 3-0 down, don't make it 6. When you're 2-0 down, don't make it 5.
But would it be worse now? I mean, I saw a guy in the chat said they'd be relegated already under Bielsa.
I agree.
I don't know.
I agree.
I have to.
I don't know.
I understand that they hold on to Bielsa with what's the word?
High regard.
Yeah, that is the
They
word.
love him.
It's like Leicester with Ranieri, but you still
It's because of what he done for them.
Yeah.
He was naive. He was a naive manager, and he's an experienced manager in other leagues. But in the Premier League, you cannot do that week in, and that's what I was trying to say to him.
I reckon, is anything improved much since he's gone?
No,
I reckon
really.
they should have kept
much.
him until the end of the season.
I think he reminds me of Sarri to a maybe to a lesser extent, because obviously, Sarri was at Chelsea, but I think very stubborn manager in terms of no flexibility whatsoever. This is the way I'm going, and there's no other way.
Wenger as well.
And the issue is when you do that is when you are losing a game and you are now going to take an absolute slapping. You have a goal difference like that where there is just no hope for survival.
A lot of them goals were conceded under him.
Yeah.
He lost 7-0, 6-0, 5-1
Unnecessary.
That's not good.
But they still loved him.
And
it might have been.
Listen, I'm not a Leeds fan. That's not my place to say. But that's from an outsider's opinion.
Okay.
Look at him.
Adrian Sheikh says Matisse. He's a Chelsea fan. This guy. He says, I think we as a fan base need to stop supporting players, but the team looking at intelligent signings now, e.g. Koulibaly, so we can bring Colwell in slowly. Of course, Chelsea's on it as well, and Chelsea are playing
Watford. Yeah, Watford at home.
And you've gone for Nicky's gone for Chelsea, and so has you. And anybody who goes against Chelsea, against Watford, who are one of the worst teams. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, well, we will make a habit of trying to drop points.
No, not to Watford.
But yeah, you would expect against Watford, we get the job done for sure. Yeah.
How would you mark your season out of 10?
I think with the context of everything that's happened, I'd probably mark it at 6.5. I don't want to go any higher than that because I feel like we have underachieved in the league. I didn't expect us to be 19 points off, and that is the bulk of your season. That is the bread and butter. But I don't want to go any lower than that, because I think if you win those, if you're 2 spot kicks away from 2 domestic cups, and then suddenly everybody's saying it's a great season. So it's a difficult one to analyse, because there's so much that's happened. There's so many fine margins, but then at the same time, there's such a lot of rebuilding and overhaul that needs to be done, because the squad isn't good enough. This is their level. The Champions League win was like the outlier on the graph, so to speak, because before that, Chelsea had not reached the semi-final of the Champions League since 13-14 under Mourinho. So there's a lot to be done, but Tuchel and the team, I do feel for them, because I can see that they're very jaded. They've checked out mentally as well, and a lot of them just probably need to move on as well. So it is what it is at this point. I checked out weeks ago.
Big summer for Chelsea.
Yeah.
And West Ham, you went for a Chelsea win as well.
Yeah.
And West Ham are away at Brighton. You've gone for a West Ham win away at Brighton. And Matisse, you have also gone for a West Ham win. Brighton are a good side, you know. I mean,
listen, that is my heart rule in my head, because if truth be told, we've never beaten Brighton in the Premier League, home or away. Wow. Never
beaten them.
First time for everything.
And that's what I'm thinking. The law of averages and all of that sort
Exactly.
I do respect Brighton as a side. I think we are a good team. I think we showed last week we're a good team. I think we'll get over the line next week. I think we'll just get over the line.
Sunday.
Sundays.
If you win that game and Man United slip up, you'll be in the Europa League, and Man United could drop into the Conference League.
Yeah.
And Man United, who also on our list of selections, are playing Crystal Palace away. That ain't easy.
No.
Matisse, you've gone for Crystal Palace. And Nicky, you've gone for a draw. So you're thinking that you could nick. People are forgetting that's quite a significant, those 2 games, because you could nick that Europa League place. There'd be no United fan who want to be in the Conference League. Cristiano Ronaldo is bad enough in being in the Europa League.
Yeah,
the Conference League. I mean, come on, man.
They need a trophy. So
I don't think Cristiano will be there next year, regardless.
If it's the Conference League, he ain't staying, is he?
I don't know. I mean,
that'd be embarrassing.
Exciting trips away from home, you never know. But for me, I don't think Man United fans can turn their nose up to the Conference League, because they need to win a trophy. They haven't won a trophy in 5 years.
Come on,
Cristiano.
I'm not even.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Cristiano Ronaldo in the Conference League.
It would look crazy, but you know, he is 37 as well, so maybe it is time for him to go and to move on. So it's one of those situations where you have to look at it and say to yourself, Man United, are they really still motivated? I've been watching them for the last few weeks. They've literally been just dashing results away for fun. Brighton, they were absolutely, battered, really. And they didn't look like they really wanted to be on that pitch anymore. Against us, they got a point. They weren't good. Against you guys, they weren't good. So I do think Man United, for me, they lack the motivation to see this job through. I don't think they're motivated by the Europa League.
I would say that goes in their favour this week is that Ten Hag turned up this week. So he's at the training ground. He's having the discussions. He'll be talking to the players.
Might give him a lift.
Might give him a bit of a lift, yeah.
Okay, final game out of the 10 is Leicester versus Southampton. You have gone for a draw, Nicky, and Matisse, you have gone for, what did you go for?
Leicester, I believe.
Leicester win.
Yeah, it's tough to predict because it could go either way, that game. That's probably the most difficult game to predict of the weekend, because they're both not really playing for anything. Both teams are inconsistent, and both teams have had their issues this season. I think quality-wise, they've dropped off, especially Leicester, but they've had injuries. And Southampton, you could argue that their team really does look like a potential relegation scrap
if they
team.
If they don't get their act together next season,
they need to invest. I looked at their 11 and I thought, what is really stopping you guys from being in a battle next year?
They've got a few, like Brozier will be back at Chelsea and that. So
and even he's dropped off.
They're not a very attractive club. That's the only thing that worries about me. What sort of quality can they get? They're not an attractive club. They're not really
relied
doing
on their
anything.
academy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mark TV over the super chat said Arsenal just sold Mavropanos to Stuttgart for 3.2 million. We need Saliba back next season, and we need lots of strengthening. 6 signings minimum. Our season rating, he says 6. January transfer window cost us the top 4. What was very significant was how many you guys dropped off, didn't buy anyone. We dropped off, didn't buy anyone. Leeds guys said they dropped. Look, they're in this position. They didn't buy anyone. January is important to strengthen sometimes when your squad is lacking. But listen, guys, we've done our 10. So those are our 10 pick 10s that we've done. You guys can do yours, as I said. Click the link in the description. Download the app right now if you don't already have it and enter a chance to win a share of £10,000 by depositing £5. As I said, a guy last week won nearly £7,000, got 10 right. Unbelievable, right? So get involved in it right now. Thank you very much for your picks, guys. Good luck to West Ham on the weekend, Nicky. Good luck to...
Well, I mean,
good
what
luck
are we
to
really
Chelsea.
fighting for?
It's hard to get that out of my mouth. But no, good luck to Chelsea at the weekend. I don't think you need it anyway. You're playing against Watford. And good luck to all the guys who came on, man, especially the Leeds guy. I would like to see them stay up. I really would, man.
I wouldn't.
I think they're going to be done out here. You know what I mean? But listen, thanks for watching the show. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and we'll see you back next week for not another prediction battle next week because the season's going to be over. But we'll have some sort of battle going on. Don't worry about that. Thanks, and we'll see you on the next one.